Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video, something I don't think I've ever done on my channel before. I am going to be recommending books to you. If you liked this book, then maybe you'll like this book. And hopefully by the end, if all of these aren't already on your TBR, they will be by the time I'm done talking about them. So let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and of course I hope you're reading an amazing book or two or three or four. I want to send best wishes to anyone affected by the California and Oregon wildfires. I know a lot of people are displaced, a lot of homes have been lost. I send my best and biggest wishes to you all. If you are dealing with the Hurricane Ida, I believe, that is coming towards New Orleans and any of that part of the United States, I also am sending you immense love and immense feelings of safety and hope. And I'm hoping everybody can sort of get through all of this and be okay at the end. So sending best wishes. It is another hot couple days here in my part of Northern California, and I really can't complain. I've been reading the new Sally Rooney. I'm not going to ruin it. I love it. And that has been a fantastic weekend treat. And we've just been enjoying it. We've walked the dogs a couple times early in the morning before it gets too hot, and we've just been doing some stuff, and it's been nice. So it has been a good couple days for me. So today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to recommend books basically saying, based on this book, if you liked it, I think you'll also like this book because of similar themes, similar topics, all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that all of these will wind up in your TBR, or maybe you've read a bunch of them, or you wanted to read a bunch of them, and this will inspire you to read even more. So as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, get out however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, I highly hope that you will get these books from your local independent bookstore. I believe all of these but one are actually out, so you can get your hands on every one of these, except for one, which I think comes out in the next couple weeks, so shouldn't be too hard to order. If you want it, get it pre-ordered. So let's get started. The first book that I'm going to say, if you liked, I'm going to talk about Sugary Bane. Now, Sugary Bane really needs no introduction, does it? Winner of the Booker Prize, shortlisted for the National Book Award. It was everywhere last year. The story of a young gay man and his relationship with his alcoholic mother, set in Glasgow, Scotland, and it is really about that relationship and dealing with the mother's addiction to alcohol, the effects that addiction has not only on her life and her relationships, but the relationships that this young boy has with his family and his sisters, his brothers, his father, and also, growing up as a gay boy, sort of dealing with masculinity, dealing with people expecting you to be one thing, but you are really and truly are the other. It's about friendship, it's about relationships, and this is an emotional tug on your heart type of book, and it really it got a ton of praise. Everybody absolutely loved this book, so I really don't have to sell it to you more. But if you like Sugary Bane, I'm going to recommend to you the new novel Tin Camp Road by Airgood, out from Riverhead Books. This book's a little bit different, but it is also the relationship between a parent and a child. And this is the story of a mother and a daughter who live sort of off the beaten path in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And the mother gets by on random jobs. She's just really scraping by, but they're very, very happy together until one day they are evicted from the home in which they live in the Upper Peninsula. And they have to find a new home. They have to find a new way to survive. And it's the story of a mother and what she is willing to do to take care of her child. In Sugary Bane, it's really what is the child willing to do to help the mother survive through her addiction and the decisions she's made and the effects that that has on that child. And then this is sort of the flip and reverse of that. This mother trying to help this daughter survive because of all of this stuff going on. But the daughter is sort of the beacon, the reason for everything that the mother does. I hope that makes sense. So that's Tin Camp Road by Airgood. This is out from Riverhead Books, and you can get your hands on it now. So if you like Sugary Bane, try Tin Camp Road. Okay. Hopefully that worked. I've never done this video, so I'm trying to figure out how to say all of this stuff and make sure it makes sense. So a book that really needs, if you have been a watcher of my channel for any time, needs no introduction, is the fantastically beautiful saga of family and relationships that is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I absolutely adore this book. I think this cover is absolutely gorgeous. And my copy, I met her and she signed it, and she has been just the loveliest person ever since I've met her, and I adore her. And Min Jin Lee's story is the story actually of Korean men and women that wind up immigrating to Japan, and about the Japanese Korean community and how they are treated not only socially but also politically and economically. And it is really about this family, this young woman at the start who is pregnant out of wedlock, and a young man who stops by. He's ill, he's got an illness, and he winds up at her home when she's pregnant, and her mother and her take care of him, and he says, I'm leaving, and if you want to, you can come with me, and I will say the child is mine, and we'll start a family together. He has I'm not going to tell you about his illness. I think that that's part of the story. But then what we do is we follow this family through the succession of children, and different children have different successes, and part of that is in the world of the Pachinko parlor, which I learned a ton about reading this book. And this is just really a family story of getting through hard times. Also the sort of the political and social aspects of where you're raised and what you're going through and all of that type of stuff. And it is beautifully, beautifully written. This book actually has one of my favorite opening lines that I've read in recent years. And it is, "History has failed us, but no matter." I just think that line is so good. Like, that is like Charles Dickens' opening line good. Absolutely love it. So if you liked Panchinko in this family epic, I am recommending another family epic, and that's The Arsonists City by Hala Alyan. And this is set in a different part of the world, but very much about the decisions parents make and immigration and how that affects children. And this is the story of the Nassar family. The mother is Syrian, the father is Lebanese, and the children are all born here in the United States. And what we have is, at the heart of this book, is the father's father has passed away, sort of the patriarch of the family, and left a family a house in Beirut. And the father has decided he's going to sell it, but this house sort of has this symbol, and this has been sort of the center rock for this family and these children. Now, the three children are from wind up on very different walks of life. We have the oldest daughter who is a teacher. She's going through some marital problems, and she has her children, and she's sort of convinced to go on this trip by her mother. I say convinced, it is very passive-aggressive convincing. We have the middle brother, who I believe lives in Texas, I think Austin, always wanted to be a musician, but his band has been falling apart, but he's actually very good in the kitchen in a restaurant, and he doesn't know what he wants to do. He has like this relationship that's going on, and he doesn't know if he wants that next step, and that becomes part of the story. And then we have the youngest sister, who actually lives in Beirut and is a very famous musician, but she's dealing with her identity, her queer identity, her own relationships, and sort of the distance she's put between her and her family when everybody comes to her and they all have to sort of reformulate their relationships. We get fantastic flashbacks into how the mother and father met, other relationships that went and gone that sort of created the relationship that now is the apex of this whole entire family. And we learn the history of the area, the region, and sort of the political upheaval, the war that was going on, and the dangers of all of that as well. All centered around this family full of love and trying to figure out how to deal with each other when it's difficult. The mother character you will recognize, I think she always has the best interest of the family in mind, but sometimes she's a little heavy-handed, a little bit not always the nicest, but I think that it's out of a place of love. It's just very complicated. Family is complicated, and it is absolutely beautiful. So that's The Arsonist City by Hala Alyan. So if you liked Panchinko by Min Jin Lee, give The Arsonist City by Hala Alyan a try. Okay, now we're going to go into sort of Both of the novels, again, I'm going to talk about right now, are told from a single perspective where the author is talking to someone about an experience or about their life in a way in order to sort of deal with or work through different situations. So I haven't even done my review of this book because I just finished it, but I absolutely loved Second Place by Rachel Cusk, currently longlisted for the Booker Prize. Funny enough, I thought Rachel Cusk was American. Most people that I know thought she was British, and then a lot of us found out she was Canadian. So it's, you know, you never know. You never know what you thought you knew, right? But this book is fantastic. Told from the point of view of one woman who's writing to her friend about an experience she has when she invites this very famous artist to her home and sort of in the middle of nowhere on a moor to sort of reinvigorate his art. But we find out very early on that she saw a bunch of his art at one time in an art museum, and it really changed the perspective of her life. And he comes there, and the relationship with him is nothing what she expected. And the effects, his presence, and what he brings with himself to their home and their second place, which is the second home on their property that he lives in, what that winds up doing to sort of the whole dynamic of her family and herself and her own sense. And it's on a weirdly epistolary style because you're only really getting her perspective, but she gets sort of other fragments that sort of fill out the picture. It is beautiful. Y'all, Rachel Cusk can write. So that was Second Place by Rachel Cusk. This is out now from FSG. And if you liked this one, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Immediate Family by Ashley Nelson Levy, also out from FSG. Another slim little novel and another sort of epistolary story where we have a woman who is writing or has been asked to write the speech, the toast at her brother's wedding. We find out that her brother was adopted, I believe, from Thailand. Yes, from Thailand, when he's 6 years younger than she is. And she remembers going to Thailand, meeting her brother, bringing him home, being raised together. And that's what the story is. It's a discussion as she's sort of writing this toast about her relationship with her brother, the dynamics of all of that, and things and pieces that when you thought you knew sort of how your life came together, but once you start to examine it, it's sort of fragmented. And she's dealing with her own issues with fertility and issues with relationships and all that kind of stuff. So all of it comes together. And what makes this one so powerful is that she and her brother have sort of been off for a bit. Like they haven't been all that close together. So he asks her to do this to sort of do her this favor, and what that does to her as well as she's sort of creating this toast and remembering all of this. So that's Immediate Family by Ashley Nelson Levy. So if you liked Second Place by Rachel Cusk, try Immediate Family by Ashley Nelson Levy. Okay, hopefully I am selling you on every one of these books. So if you haven't read any of them, you're going to get 10 recommendations from me today. We're going to go into the world of memoir, and this is actually in the scheme of things, this is the one that I think maybe a little bit more on the nose, but I just feel like if you liked this one, you're really going to like this one. You'll see what I'm saying. The first book I want to talk about is the phenomenal, brilliant memoir, How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. This book is so good. This story of a young, queer black man and his relationship with the South, his relationship with his family, his sexual awakening, his understanding of what sex means to him and to others, sort of dealing with the stigmatisms or the way people look at him as a person. That was probably not the right word, but you know what I mean. Like they look at him as a person and how that affects how he navigates the world. And he winds up in different cities sort of in the Midwest that all are just difficult places, not only to be black, but also to be black and queer, and also to be black, queer, and just artistically talented and amazing, but you're trying to figure out who you are. It's just beautiful and heart-rending, and so good. I cried my eyes out in this book. So that's How We Fight for Our Lives, a memoir by Saeed Jones. If you liked that, I'm going to recommend this new memoir that came out, I believe, this year, I'm pretty sure, and that's Punch Me Up to the Gods by Broome, and that is right there. This one's out from HMH, and this is the story of Brian. It's his memoir and his experiences dealing with also, you know, coming out, his ideas of masculinity, issues with seeing what people think he should be and knowing what he really is inside, and you know, using drugs and alcohol as a way to sort of instigate relationships and physical contact, and sometimes that going in a funny manner and sometimes that going horribly wrong. But as he talks about sort of, you know, his vulnerability and the vulnerability of being a young Black boy going through all of this at this time, and dealing with his parents, dealing with their expectations and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've heard that the audiobook of this one is also phenomenal. So that is Punch Me Up to the Gods by Broome. And if you liked How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones, give Punch Me Up to the Gods by Broome a go. Okay. Last but not least, we're going to do a little science fiction-ish, fantasy-ish, Russell. Fantasy-ish. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This book, y'all, it's just a fun science fiction, like, it's also like a saga, it's like a family tale. So this is the story of a spaceship full of very different people on a journey to complete a mission where they have to be together for a very long time. They wind up stopping at different planets. There's romance between very different people and races, alien races and humans, and I'm not going to give all of it away because there's some things that will really surprise you. But this is like a book, I feel like if you were one of those people that just was like a Star Trek kid and you liked that sense of community that came on like a single starship and all of like the ups and downs of those relationships, it's got sort of like the humor in a way of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy at times, but at the same time, there's just a lot of really cool character development and people to meet and do all of that. And I just love this book. So that's The Long Way to the Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And if you liked this, I'm going to recommend Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. And this is out from Tor. This is the only one that is not out yet. This comes out in September of this year. I believe it comes out in 2 weeks. Don't quote me on that, but I think it comes out in 2 weeks, so you can get your hands on it. So I'm not going to spoil this one because I think that there's a lot that goes on. But basically, at one point, there's like this donut shop in San Gabriel Valley that is run by aliens who have left because of a war on their home planet. We have a woman who is a cellist who is trying to get rid of a curse. And she's looking for a new apprentice because she's already sacrificed 6 of them and it hasn't broken the curse, and she wants to know if this is going to be the one that is her last ticket out of hell. And it's that kind of thing. So it's got this sort of science fiction world to it as well. There's aliens, these relationships, this goofiness, but it also has that humor of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, sort of like things are going to happen and they're going to put people in weird situations and they're going to have to deal with it. And it's about a found family crossing the universe for people. And it's about how your family is who you want it to be. Yeah. I think you will really like this one if you like the others. So this is Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki, out from Tor in September. So if you liked The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, give Light from Uncommon Stars a chance. So I hope, I'm not going to try to hold all these up, y'all, because 10 books, I'll drop them all. I have them in different piles. But I hope that all of them sound interesting. If you haven't read one, that you will like to read all of them. If you have read the ones that I talk about, either way, actually, try the other one and see whether or not it's a book that you'll enjoy. So in this video, you get 10 recommendations for the price of 5. Is that how it works? As always, if you're a return subscriber, I couldn't do this without you. I thank you so very, very, very much. If you are new to my channel, I really, really hope that you like what you saw and you subscribe and stick around and hear me talk about books some more. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everyone.